The invasion begins. The sky burned crimson as the Zarkan warships breached Earth's atmosphere. Their massive silhouettes, dark and ominous, blotted out the sun as they descended upon major cities across the globe. Humanity, despite its technological advancements, found itself woefully unprepared for the cosmic onslaught that had arrived at its doorstep. In New York City, panic gripped the streets. Civilians ran for cover as the first wave of alien drop pods crashed into skyscrapers, releasing swarms of cybernetically enhanced warriors. These Zarkan soldiers, with their iridescent exoskeletons and multiple limbs, moved with terrifying speed and precision. At the United Nations headquarters, world leaders gathered in an emergency session, their faces pale with shock and fear. General Elena Vasquez, head of Earth's unified defense forces, stood before them, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding outside. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her eyes scanning the room, "we are facing an extinction-level threat. Our conventional weapons have proven ineffective against their advanced shielding technology. We need to consider all options, no matter how desperate." As if to emphasize her point, a tremendous explosion rocked the building. Through the windows, they could see the Statue of Liberty crumbling, its torch extinguished by alien weaponry. Meanwhile, in orbit, aboard the Zarkan flagship Eternal Dominion, Warlord Kraz Full watched the invasion with cold satisfaction. His elongated, gray-skinned face reflected in the view screen as Earth's defenses crumbled before him. "Pathetic," he hissed, mandibles clicking. "I expected more from the species that calls itself humanity. They've barely lasted an hour." His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Vexlor, approached with a report. "My lord, we've encountered minimal resistance. Their primitive projectile weapons cannot penetrate our shields. At this rate, global subjugation will be achieved within 72 Earth hours." Krasful's compound eyes narrowed. "Excellent. Prepare the terraforming engines. Once we've crushed their will to fight, we'll reshape this world in the image of our glorious empire." Back on Earth, in the Pentagon's underground war room, General Vasquez and her team worked frantically to coordinate what remained of Earth's military forces. Screens flickered with reports of falling cities and mounting casualties. "Ma'am," a young lieutenant called out, his voice cracking, "we've lost contact with our forces in Europe and Asia. The aliens are advancing faster than we can track them." Vasquez gritted her teeth, her mind racing through scenarios, each more desperate than the last. It was then that Colonel Jack Harper, a grizzled veteran with a reputation for unorthodox tactics, spoke up. "General," he said, his voice low and gravelly, "there might be one option left. Project Lazarus." The room fell silent. Project Lazarus was more myth than reality, a black ops program so secret that most believed it to be nothing more than a rumor. Vasquez turned to Harper, her eyes narrowing. "Lazarus, that's your solution. We don't even know if it exists, let alone if it would work against an alien invasion." Harper met her gaze unflinchingly. "With all due respect, ma'am, we're out of options. If Lazarus is real, it might be our only shot at turning this around." For a moment, Vasquez weighed the decision. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. Finally, she nodded. "Do it. Whatever it takes, find Lazarus and bring it online." As Harper hurried out of the room, Vasquez turned back to the screens, watching as more red dots, signifying lost territories, spread across the global map. She silently prayed that whatever Lazarus was, it would be enough to save them all. In the skies above Washington, D.C., Zarkan fighters engaged in dogfights with the last of Earth's Air Force. The alien vessels, sleek and impossibly agile, ran circles around human jets. Pilots fought bravely, but one by one, they fell from the sky in blazing wrecks. On the ground, Marines and Army units fought a losing battle against the alien ground forces. The Zarkan foot soldiers, protected by personal energy shields, advanced relentlessly. Their plasma weapons cut through tanks and armored vehicles like they were made of paper. In the heart of the city, A group of civilians huddled in the basement of a partially collapsed building. Among them was Dr. Sarah Chen, a brilliant physicist who had been working on advanced defense systems before the invasion. She clutched a tablet to her chest, its screen displaying schematics for a prototype weapon. "We can't just sit here," she said to the others. "There has to be something we can do." An older man, his face streaked with dust and blood, shook his head. "What can we do against those things? They're too powerful." Sarah's eyes blazed with determination. "Humanity has faced extinction before. We've always found a way to survive. We can't give up now." As if in response to her words, the ground shook violently. The sound of alien weaponry grew closer. The civilians huddled closer together, fear etched on their faces. Outside, Zarkan troops methodically swept through the streets, eliminating any resistance they encountered. Their linked neural networks allowed them to communicate and coordinate with terrifying efficiency. Back in orbit, Warlord Kraz received reports of the invasion's progress. A holographic map of Earth floated before him, large swaths of it now marked in the purple hue of Zarkan control. "My lord," Vexlor reported, "we've encountered an unexpected pocket of resistance in a region they call Afghanistan. The terrain is proving challenging." Krazthal waved a dismissive hand. "A minor inconvenience. Increase orbital bombardment in that sector. I want this planet secured before the Imperial fleet arrives." As the Warlord issued his commands, he failed to notice a small anomaly on one of the sensor readings. Deep in the Rocky Mountains, something was stirring. Something that would soon change the course of the invasion. In a top-secret facility buried beneath miles of rock, alarms blared as emergency power systems came online. Cryogenic pods hissed open, releasing clouds of frigid vapor. And in one of those pods, a pair of eyes snapped open. Eyes that burned with an intensity that could match the invaders' ferocity. Project Lazarus was awakening, and with it, humanity's last hope for survival. As the first day of the invasion drew to a close, Earth stood on the brink. Cities lay in ruins, militaries were in disarray, and hope seemed all but lost. But in the darkness of humanity's darkest hour, a spark was about to ignite. A spark that would soon burst into a flame of resistance that even the mighty Zarkan Empire couldn't have anticipated. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate not just of Earth, but of the entire galaxy. For in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity was about to prove why it should never be underestimated. The last hope. Deep within the Rocky Mountains, in a facility known only to a handful of individuals, Project Lazarus stirred to life. As the cryogenic pod hissed open, a figure emerged from the icy mist. Major John Steele, the culmination of decades of classified research and enhancement, took his first breath in over a decade. Steele's eyes, a startling electric blue, scanned the dimly lit chamber. His enhanced senses immediately picked up on the faint tremors of distant explosions. Something was very wrong. Dr. Evelyn Reeves, the lead scientist of Project Lazarus, approached him cautiously. "Major Steele," she said, her voice a mixture of awe and apprehension, "welcome back to the land of the living. I'm afraid we've awakened you under dire circumstances." Steele's voice was low and gravelly from disuse. "Report, Doctor. What's the situation?" As Dr. Reeves briefed him on the alien invasion, Steele's enhanced mind processed the information at an incredible speed. He had been created for this very scenario. A last line of defense against threats beyond human comprehension. "Your enhancements have been perfected during your cryosleep," Dr. Reeves explained, leading him to an armory. "Increased strength, speed, and regeneration. Your neural implants allow for rapid information processing and interface with our most advanced weaponry." Steele examined the arsenal before him. Plasma rifles, energy shields, and experimental nanotechnology, all designed to combat threats far beyond Earth's current technological level. As he equipped himself, alarms blared throughout the facility. "They found us," Dr. Reeves gasped, her eyes wide with fear. Steele's expression remained impassive. Get your team to safety, Doctor. I'll handle this. As Reeves and her team evacuated, Steele made his way to the facility's entrance. The massive blast doors, designed to withstand nuclear strikes, were beginning to glow red as the Zarkan troops attempted to breach them. Steele activated his tactical visor, assessing the situation. His enhanced hearing picked up the alien chatter beyond the doors. At least 24 hostiles, armed with plasma weapons. A challenge, but not impossible. With a deafening screech, the blast doors gave way. Zarkan soldiers poured in, their insectoid features twisted in alien expressions of triumph. That triumph was short-lived. Steele moved with inhuman speed, his plasma rifle spitting death with unerring accuracy. The aliens, caught off guard by this unexpected resistance, fell in droves. Their personal shields, so effective against conventional weapons, flickered and failed against Steele's advanced armaments. As the last Zarkan soldier fell, Steele accessed the facility's communication array. "This is Major John Steele, Project Lazarus, to any remaining Earth Defense Forces. I am operational and engaging the enemy. Request strategic update and coordinates for priority targets." Thousands of miles away, in the Pentagon's war room, General Vasquez's eyes widened as Steele's transmission came through. "My God," she whispered, "it actually worked." Colonel Harper, standing beside her, allowed himself a small smile. "I told you, General. Lazarus was our ace in the hole." Vasquez leaned towards the comm unit. "Major Steele, this is General Elena Vasquez. Your activation couldn't have come at a better time. We're sending you coordinates for a Zarkan command post in Denver. Take it out, and we might just have a chance at turning this war around." As Steele acknowledged the order and prepared to move out, news of his existence spread like wildfire through what remained of Earth's military channels. For the first time since the invasion began, a spark of hope ignited in the hearts of humanity's defenders. In orbit, aboard the Eternal Dominion, Warlord Kraz received unsettling reports. "What do you mean, entire squad eliminated?" He snarled at the holographic image of a field commander. "These humans are primitive. They pose no threat to our forces." The commander's mandibles clicked nervously. "Forgive me, my lord, but this was different." The squad was wiped out in minutes by what appears to be a single human combatant. "Our weapons were ineffective. And..." Krasful cut the transmission with a growl of frustration. He turned to Sub-Commander Vexlor. "This is unacceptable. Dispatch our elite guard to this. Denver, crush this human resistance and bring me the head of this so-called super soldier." As Zarkan dropships descended upon Denver, carrying the alien warlord's most fearsome warriors, Major Steele was already on the move. He commandeered a military aircraft, his neural implants allowing him to pilot it with unparalleled skill. From the cockpit, Steele observed the devastated landscape below. Cities lay in ruins, alien structures beginning to sprout from the wreckage like metallic fungi. But amidst the destruction, he also saw pockets of human resistance, civilians and military personnel alike, fighting with everything they had. As he approached Denver, Steele's tactical visor highlighted the Zarkan command post. It was a formidable structure, bristling with weaponry and surrounded by a small army of alien troops. But Steele had faced worse odds in the simulations that had been part of his training. He set the aircraft on a collision course with the command post's main generator, then leaped from the cockpit. As he free-fell towards the Earth, Steele activated his experimental nanosuit. The microscopic machine swarmed over his body, forming an additional layer of armor and enhancing his already superhuman abilities. The aircraft slammed into the generator in a massive explosion, momentarily disrupting the command post's defenses. In that moment of chaos, Steele landed in the heart of the alien stronghold, his impact creating a crater in the ground. Zarkan soldiers turned to face this new threat, only to be met with a whirlwind of destruction. Steele moved faster than their targeting systems could track, his enhanced strength allowing him to tear through their ranks with brutal efficiency. Inside the command post, The Zarkan commander watched in disbelief as his forces fell to this single human warrior. He frantically sent a distress signal to the orbiting fleet, but it was too late. Steel breached the command center, facing off against the alien leader. The Zarkan commander, in a desperate move, activated a self-destruct sequence. "If I die," he hissed, "I'm taking you with me, human." But Steel was already moving. He grabbed the alien, using him as a shield as he crashed through a window. The command post exploded behind them, the shockwave propelling them through the air. As they fell, Steel and the Zarkan commander grappled midair. With a decisive move, Steel snapped the alien's neck, then used the corpse to cushion his landing. Standing amidst the wreckage of the Zarkan command post, Steel surveyed his handiwork. The alien stronghold was in ruins, its forces decimated. He activated his comlink. "General Vasquez, this is Steel. Denver command post neutralized. Awaiting next objective." Back in the Pentagon, a cheer went up as Steele's report came in. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had scored a significant victory. General Vasquez allowed herself a moment of relief before responding. "Excellent work, Major. But this is just the beginning. We're detecting increased Zarkan activity globally. They're rallying their forces, no doubt in response to your actions." Steele's voice came back, calm and determined. "Understood, General. They've had their turn. Now it's time we showed these aliens why they should never have come to Earth." As news of the victory in Denver spread, resistance cells around the world were galvanized into action. Humanity, on the brink of defeat, found new strength in the knowledge that they were no longer alone in this fight. In orbit, Warlord Kraz Full raged at the loss of his command post. "This changes nothing." He roared to his subordinates. "Increase orbital bombardment. I want this Major Steel found and eliminated." Little did the alien warlord know, but his actions had set in motion a chain of events that would shake the very foundations of his empire. The war for Earth was far from over, and humanity, led by its enhanced champion, was only just beginning to fight back. As the sun set on the second day of the invasion, both sides prepared for what would undoubtedly be a long and brutal conflict. But for the first time since the Zarkan arrived, the outcome was no longer certain. Humanity had found its hero, and the galaxy was about to learn why humans should never be underestimated. Turning the tide. In the days following the destruction of the Denver command post, Major John Steel became a symbol of hope for the beleaguered forces of Earth. His exploits, initially kept classified, began to spread through whispered tales and grainy video footage. He was a ghost, a legend, a one-man army turning the tide against the seemingly invincible Zarkan. Steele's tactics were as unconventional as they were effective. He struck from the shadows, using his enhanced abilities and advanced technology to wreak havoc on alien supply lines and communication networks. The Zarkan, accustomed to overwhelming their enemies with superior firepower, found themselves facing an opponent they couldn't pin down. In what remained of London, Steel infiltrated a Zarkan processing center where humans were being prepared for off-world slave labor. Moving silently through the alien facility, he systematically disabled security systems and freed the captives. When the alien guards finally realized something was amiss, Steel was waiting for them. The ensuing battle was short and brutal. Steel's plasma rifle cut through the Zarkan ranks like a scythe through wheat. Those aliens who got close enough to engage in hand-to-hand combat discovered, to their horror, that the humans' augmented strength far surpassed their own. As the last Zarkan fell, Steel turned to the freed prisoners. Among them was Dr. Sarah Chen, the physicist who had been working on advanced defense systems before the invasion. "Major Steel," she said, her voice filled with awe and relief, "I've heard stories, but I never thought. Thank you for saving us." Steel nodded curtly. "Dr. Chen, I've been briefed on your work. We need minds like yours if we're going to win this war." As they evacuated the facility, Steel's tactical visor picked up incoming Zarkan dropships. "We've got company," he growled. Dr. Chen, get these people to safety. I'll handle our visitors. Chen hesitated for a moment. Major, before you go, I was working on a prototype EMP device that might be effective against their shields. If I could get access to a lab. Steele's eyes narrowed with interest. Do it. I'll make sure you get whatever you need. Now go. As Chen led the rescued humans to safety, Steele turned to face the incoming alien forces. He activated his nanosuit's cloaking function, becoming nearly invisible against the ruined cityscape. The Zarkan dropships landed, disgorging squads of elite hunters. These weren't the regular troops Steele had faced before. These aliens moved with predatory grace, their armor more advanced, their weapons more deadly. Spread out. The lead hunter hissed in its alien tongue. The human can't have gone far. Remember, Warlord Kraz, Full, wants him alive. If possible. Steele watched from his hidden vantage point, assessing the situation. These hunters were smarter, using cover and moving in coordinated patterns. A direct assault would be risky. But Steele hadn't survived this long by playing it safe. He activated his neural link to the city's remaining infrastructure. Streetlights flickered to life, casting confusing shadows. Abandoned vehicles' alarms began blaring, creating a cacophony of noise that disoriented the alien's sensitive hearing. In the confusion, Steele struck. He dropped from his perch, landing silently behind the rearmost hunter. In one fluid motion, he snapped the alien's neck and appropriated its weapon, a nasty-looking rifle that hummed with energy. The other hunters turned at their comrade's death rattle, but Steele was already moving. He fired the alien weapon, finding it far more effective against their shields than his own guns. 2 more Zarkan fell before they could even raise their weapons. The remaining hunters scattered, taking cover and returning fire. Energy bolts sizzled through the air, turning debris into slag wherever they hit. But Steele was always one step ahead, his enhanced reflexes and tactical prediction algorithms allowing him to anticipate their shots. As the battle raged, Steele found himself grudgingly respecting these elite Zarkan. They were formidable opponents, adapting quickly to his tactics. But they had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated humanity's will to survive. In orbit, Warlord Kraz, Full watched the battle through the eyes of his hunters. His mandibles clicked in frustration as, one by one, the camera feeds went dark. This human, this Steele, was proving to be far more than a mere nuisance. My lord, Sub-Commander Vexlor approached cautiously. Perhaps we should consider withdrawing our forces. This planet's resistance is proving more resilient than anticipated. Kraz Full whirled on his subordinate, eyes flashing with rage. Withdraw. You dare suggest retreat? The Zarkan Empire has never failed to conquer a world, and we will not start now. He turned back to the tactical display. Prepare my personal guard. I will deal with this human myself. Back on the ground, Steele stood amidst the bodies of the fallen hunters. He had eliminated the entire squad, but not without cost. His nanosuit was damaged, its energy reserves depleted. He had burns and cuts in several places where near misses had gotten through his defenses. As he caught his breath, his comm unit crackled to life. Major Steele, this is General Vasquez. We're detecting a massive energy signature entering the atmosphere. Whatever it is, it's big, and it's heading straight for London. Steele's eyes narrowed. Understood, General. Looks like we got their attention. Any word from Dr. Chen? She's made contact, Vasquez replied. Says she's close to a breakthrough on that EMP device. We're scrambling what air support we can to buy her more time. Steele nodded, even though Vasquez couldn't see him. Good. I have a feeling we're going to need every advantage we can get. As if on cue, the sky above London lit up with an otherworldly glow. A massive Zarkan warship, easily dwarfing anything Steele had seen so far, descended through the clouds. Its hull bristled with weapons, and at its heart, a massive energy cannon began to charge. Steele's mind raced, calculating odds and possibilities. The ship was too big, too well armed for him to take on directly. But if he could get aboard, he activated his comm unit again. "General, I need a distraction. Everything we've got. And get me a line to Dr. Chen. If that EMP device of hers is going to work, now's the time." As Vasquez acknowledged and began coordinating Earth's remaining forces, Steele started moving. He had a plan, a desperate, possibly suicidal plan. But if it worked, it might just turn the tide of the entire war. The massive Zarkan warship hovered over London, its energy cannon nearing full charge. On its command deck, Warlord Krasthul gazed down at the ruined city with a mixture of contempt and anticipation. "Let this be a message to all who would defy the Zarkan Empire," he growled. "Prepare to fire." His order was cut short as alarms blared throughout the ship. On the tactical display, dozens of small signatures appeared, approaching rapidly from all directions. Earth had launched its counterattack. What remained of humanity's air forces, fighter jets, helicopters, even civilian aircraft retrofitted with weapons, swarmed the massive alien vessel. Their weapons were largely ineffective against the warship's shields, but they served their purpose. They were a distraction. In the chaos of the aerial battle, a single, stealthed figure made its way towards the Zarkan warship. Major John Steele, using technology salvaged from the fallen hunters, had one shot at boarding the vessel, one chance to bring the fight directly to the alien warlord. As Earth's forces fought and died in the skies above London, Steele prepared to make his move. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and the next few moments would determine whether Earth would fall, or whether the Zarkan were about to learn the true meaning of human tenacity. The final confrontation. As Earth's Galactic Air Force engaged the massive Zarkan warship, Major John Steele made his move. Using the adaptive camouflage of his damaged nanosuit and the stolen Zarkan technology, he latched onto the underbelly of the alien vessel. The ship's energy shields, calibrated to repel high-velocity projectiles and energy weapons, failed to detect his stealthy approach. With practiced precision, Steele cut through the hull using a plasma torch. Alarms blared as he breached the pressurized interior, but the sound was lost in the chaos of the ongoing battle. Steele slipped inside, his enhanced senses immediately adjusting to the alien environment. The interior of the Zarkan warship was a maze of biomechanical corridors, pulsing with an eerie, otherworldly light. Steele moved swiftly, his neural implants interfacing with the ship's systems, providing him with a mental map of the vessel's layout. His objective: the bridge, where Warlord Krasthul would be coordinating the attack. As he made his way through the ship, Steele encountered pockets of resistance. Zarkan crew members, caught off guard by this internal threat, fell quickly to his superior combat skills and advanced weaponry. But with each engagement, the risk of detection grew. On the bridge, Warlord Krasthul raged at his subordinates. "How are these primitive flying machines causing us so much trouble? Obliterate them." Sub-Commander Vexlor approached cautiously. "My lord, we're detecting anomalies within the ship. Security systems on multiple decks have gone dark." Krasthul's compound eyes narrowed. "The human. He's here." A savage grin spread across his alien features. "Good. Seal all bulkheads. I want him trapped and brought to me." As blast doors slammed shut throughout the ship, Steele found his path to the bridge blocked. "General Vasquez," he spoke into his comm unit, "I'm inside the alien warship, but I'm cut off from the command center. Any word on that EMP device?" Vasquez's voice came back, tinged with static. "Dr. Chen is en route with the prototype. ETA 5 minutes. But Steele, that ship is charging its main cannon. If it fires, London and everything in a 100-mile radius will be vaporized." Steele's mind raced, formulating a new plan. "Understood. I'm heading for the ship's power core. Maybe I can buy us some time." Using his enhanced strength, Steele pried open a maintenance shaft and began climbing towards the heart of the vessel. The ship's internal defenses activated, filling the shaft with deadly energy beams, but Steele's augmented reflexes allowed him to dodge and weave through the deadly gauntlet. Meanwhile, on the streets of London below, Dr. Sarah Chen raced through the rubble-strewn streets in a military transport. Beside her sat the prototype EMP device, a hulking mass of wires and experimental technology. How much longer? The driver shouted over the sound of distant explosions. Chen checked her calculations one last time. We need to get within half a mile of that ship for maximum effect, and we've only got one shot at this. As they approached the optimal firing position, a squadron of Zarkan fighters descended upon them. Energy bolts strafed the ground, forcing the transport to swerve wildly. "We're not going to make it," the driver yelled. But Chen was not about to give up. "Keep driving," she ordered, moving to the back of the transport. With trembling hands, she began the activation sequence on the EMP device. "I hope this works," she muttered. Back on the Zarkan warship, Steele had reached the massive power core. The chamber was a cathedral of alien technology, with energy arcing between towering pylons. At its center, a pulsing orb of pure energy powered the entire vessel. Steele's tactical visor analyzed the core, identifying critical nodes and weaknesses. But before he could act, a voice boomed through the chamber. "Impressive, human." Warlord Kraz Full stepped into view, flanked by his elite guard. The alien leader stood nearly 10 feet tall, his exoskeleton gleaming with integrated weaponry. "You've caused me no small amount of trouble, but your futile resistance ends here." Steele turned to face the Zarkan warlord, his stance relaxed but ready. "You made one big mistake when you came to Earth," he said, his voice cold. Krasful's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Oh, and what was that?" "You pissed us off." With blinding speed, Steele drew his weapon and fired, not at Krasful, but at the power core behind him. The shot struck a critical juncture, causing a cascade of energy to ripple through the system. Alarms blared as the ship's power fluctuated. Krasful roared in fury, charging at Steele with inhuman speed. The two collided in a blur of motion, Steele's enhanced strength matching the alien warlord's natural power. As they grappled, trading blows that would have shattered ordinary beings, the ship lurched around them. The power core, damaged by Steele's precise shot, began to overload. Outside, Dr. Chen's transport had reached the optimal position. "Now," she shouted, activating the EMP device. A wave of electromagnetic energy burst forth, expanding in a rapidly growing sphere. The effect was immediate and devastating. Zarkan fighters fell from the sky, their systems fried. The massive warship's shields flickered and died, leaving it vulnerable. Inside the power core chamber, Steele and Krasful were locked in mortal combat. The human's augmented abilities were pushed to their limits as he fought against the alien warlord's strength and centuries of combat experience. "Why?" Krasful snarled as they traded blows. "Why do you humans resist so fiercely? You must know you cannot win." Steele caught the alien's clawed hand mid-strike, his muscles straining. "Because," he growled, "this is our home, and we will never surrender it to the likes of you." With a surge of strength, Steele lifted the massive alien and hurled him towards the unstable power core. Krasful's eyes widened in shock as he realized his fate. "This isn't possible," the warlord gasped. "We are the Zarkan. We are invincible." His words were cut short as he collided with the power core. There was a blinding flash, and then the heart of the alien vessel began to implode. Steele didn't wait to watch. He ran, pushing his enhanced body to its absolute limits as he raced through the disintegrating ship. Alien crew members panicked around him, abandoning their posts as their mighty vessel crumbled. "General Vasquez," Steele barked into his comm, "the alien ship is going down. Advise all forces to clear the area." He reached the breach where he had entered, the hull now torn open wider by the ship's ongoing destruction. Without hesitation, Steele leaped from the doomed vessel, plummeting towards the earth below. As he fell, Steele saw the massive Zarkan warship erupting in a series of explosions, It listed to one side, then began to drop from the sky like a burning meteor. Steele's nanosuit, depleted and damaged, could do little to slow his fall. He closed his eyes, bracing for impact, hoping his augmented body could survive what was coming. The ground rushed up to meet him, and then darkness. When Steele opened his eyes, he was surprised to find himself alive. He lay in a crater of his own making, every inch of his body screaming in pain. But he was alive. As he struggled to his feet, he saw the wreckage of the Zarkan warship spread across the London skyline. Smoke billowed into the sky, but there was something else too. Cheering. Human voices raised in jubilation and defiance. Dr. Chen appeared at the edge of the crater, her face smudged with soot, but beaming with triumph. Major Steele, you did it. The EMP worked, and you brought down their flagship. Steele nodded, allowing himself a small smile. We did it, Doctor. All of us. As medical teams rushed to attend to him, Steele's comm unit crackled to life. General Vasquez's voice came through, thick with emotion. Major, are you there? Please respond. I'm here, General, Steele replied. Mission accomplished. There was a moment of silence. Then Vasquez spoke again, her voice carrying to all surviving human forces. To all Earth Defense Forces and citizens, the Zarkan flagship has been destroyed. Their leader is dead. All across the globe, the invaders are in retreat. She paused, her next words filled with pride and determination. This is not the end. We have a long road ahead to reclaim our world, but let this day be remembered. This is the day humanity stood against the stars themselves and said, no more. As cheers erupted around him, Steele looked to the sky. The Zarkan invasion had been thwarted, but he knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had proven itself on a galactic stage, and the universe would never be the same. The war for Earth was over. The war for humanity's place among the stars had only just begun. Aftermath and reflection. In the weeks following the destruction of the Zarkan flagship, Earth began the long process of recovery. Cities lay in ruins, millions were displaced, and the scars of the invasion ran deep. But amidst the devastation, a new spirit had taken hold of humanity, one of unity, resilience, and cautious hope for the future. Major John Steele, hailed as the hero of the war, found himself at the center of Earth's reconstruction efforts. His enhanced abilities and tactical knowledge proved invaluable as humanity began to reverse engineer the alien technology left behind by the retreating Zarkan. In what remained of the United Nations headquarters in New York, now a makeshift command center for global recovery, Steele stood before a council of world leaders. General Vasquez, her uniform adorned with new medals, introduced him. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Major John Steele, the man who turned the tide of the war. Steele stepped forward, his face impassive. Thank you, General, but I was just one part of a much larger effort. Every human who resisted, every scientist who innovated, every civilian who refused to give up hope, they're the real heroes. The President of the United States, her face lined with the stress of recent events, leaned forward. Major Steele, your modesty is admirable, but we need to discuss the future. The Zarkan have been driven back, but we doubt they'll stay away forever. What do you propose we do to prepare? Steele's eyes swept the room, taking in the expectant faces of Earth's leaders. We adapt, he said firmly. We take what we've learned, the technology we've salvaged, and we build. Not just weapons, but defenses. We need to be ready not just for the Zarkan, but for whatever else is out there in the galaxy. Dr. Sarah Chen, now heading Earth's new extraterrestrial technology division, stepped up beside Steele. We've already begun analyzing the alien artifacts. They're faster-than-light drive technology. They're energy weapons. With time, we can replicate and improve upon them. And what of you, Major Steele? The Chinese premier asked. Your enhancements, your abilities, they were crucial to our victory. Should we not create more soldiers like you? A murmur ran through the assembly. Steele's eyes narrowed slightly. With all due respect, that's not a decision to be made lightly. The process that created me. It's dangerous, unpredictable, and there are ethical considerations we can't ignore. General Vasquez nodded in agreement. Major Steele is right. We won our freedom through unity and ingenuity, not just brute force. Our focus should be on uplifting all of humanity, not creating a separate class of super soldiers. The debate continued for hours, with plans laid out for global defense systems, space-based early warning networks, and accelerated technological development programs. Through it all, Steele listened, offering insights where needed, but increasingly feeling like a relic of a war that was already fading into legend. As the meeting adjourned, Steele found himself looking out over the New York skyline. The city was a patchwork of destruction and nascent reconstruction. Alien architecture stood side by side with human buildings, a visual reminder of how much had changed. Dr. Chen approached him, her expression thoughtful. "Credit for your thoughts, Major." Steele turned to her, a rare smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Just thinking about the future, Doctor. We've taken our first steps into a larger universe, for better or worse." Chen nodded, her eyes bright with excitement. "It's incredible, isn't it? A few months ago, we thought we were alone in the universe. Now, we're on the cusp of becoming an interstellar civilization ourselves. Assuming the Zarkan don't return first," Steele cautioned. "True," Chen conceded, "but that's why we need you, Major. Your experience, your insights, they'll be crucial as we move forward." Steele was silent for a moment, considering. "I was created for war, Doctor. Now that it's over, I'm not sure where I fit in this new world we're building." Chen placed a hand on his arm, a gesture that would have been impossible in the midst of the invasion. "You fit wherever you choose, Major. You've given humanity a future. Now it's time to decide what your future will be." As they talked, a commotion arose from the command center. An aide rushed up to them, his face flushed with excitement. "Dr. Chen, Major Steele, you need to see this." They hurried back to the control room, where a large screen displayed a startling image. A ship, clearly not of Earth or Zarkan design, had appeared at the edge of the solar system. General Vasquez was already barking orders. "I want all available sensors focused on that ship. Is it broadcasting any signals?" A communications officer spoke up. "Yes, ma'am. We're receiving a transmission. It's in English." The room fell silent as the message played. "People of Earth, do not be alarmed. We are the Galactic Confederation, a coalition of free worlds. We have been monitoring your conflict with the Zarkan Empire. Your victory has not gone unnoticed. We come in peace, seeking dialogue, and, if you are willing, to welcome humanity into a larger community of spacefaring civilizations." The implications of the message washed over the assembled leaders. Earth was no longer alone, nor was it simply facing a single alien threat. The galaxy was vaster, more complex, and perhaps more dangerous than they had imagined. All eyes turned to Steele. The super soldier, created to defend Earth against alien threats, now found himself at the crossroads of humanity's cosmic destiny. General Vasquez broke the silence. "Major Steele, it seems your mission isn't over yet. Are you ready to be humanity's representative to the stars?" Steele straightened, his resolve clear in his stance. "Always ready, General. For Earth and for humanity's future." As preparations began for humanity's first official contact with the Galactic Confederation, Steele couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them to this point. From the brink of extinction to the threshold of a new era, humanity had proven its worth among the stars. The Zarkan invasion had been repelled, but it was clear that this was just the beginning. New challenges, new wonders, and new dangers awaited humanity in the vast expanse of the galaxy. But with the unity forged in the crucible of war, the technological leaps made in desperation, and the unyielding spirit that had seen them through their darkest hour, humanity was ready to take its place in the cosmic community. As the first diplomatic team prepared to meet the Galactic Confederation representatives, Steele stood at the forefront, a bridge between Earth's war-torn past and its starfaring future. The galaxy would soon learn what the Zarkan had discovered at great cost, that humanity, when pushed to its limits, was capable of extraordinary things. The war was over, but humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. And Major John Steele, the hero forged in Earth's darkest hour, would be there to lead the way into the endless frontier of space.